An 18-year-old kid steps onto a rain-soaked pitch in Harrogate in a match that meant absolutely nothing for qualification and ends up being the only player the opposition couldn't stop talking about. 9 goals in 17 games, first-team bench appearances last season, and now League Two defenders are literally shouting warnings to each other every time he touches the ball. Sean Neve isn't just knocking on the first-team door anymore, mates. He's about to kick it down. I'm Rodrigo, and you're watching Newcastle Mania, the channel made by a supporter for supporters who are absolutely mad about Newcastle United. You blinked, and Newcastle turned into headlines everywhere. We've got youth prospects making senior pros look nervous, we've got January decisions looming, and we've got a talent that Eddie Howe himself has publicly admitted he admires. But the main story? That's coming in just a moment. But first, just one quick word. If you love Newcastle and want to stay on top of everything happening with our club, smash that subscribe button right now. It costs you nothing, helps us massively, and makes all the difference to growing our black and white community. Right then, let's talk about the future of Newcastle United. The performance that changed everything. Picture this scene: Wetherby Road, Harrogate. Absolutely pouring with rain. The under-21s already knocked out of the Virtu Trophy. No glory on the line, just pride and development. The kind of night where some youngsters go through the motions and count down the minutes. But not Sean Neve. Not this 18-year-old who's been setting youth football alight this season. Not the lad who sat on the bench at Wembley for the Carabao Cup final last season, and now League Two defenders are literally shouting warnings to each other every time he touches the ball. Sean Neve isn't just knocking on the first-team door anymore, mates. He's about to kick it down. What made this performance so special? Let me paint you the full picture here. Newcastle fielded a decent side, don't get me wrong. Harrison Ashby from the first team, Ben Parkinson, who's got senior appearances under his belt, Park Sung-hwaeun and Alfie Harrison, who both featured prominently in pre-season. Quality all around. But Sean Neve, he was operating on a different level entirely. Here's what really stood out. Harrogate's experienced League Two defenders couldn't get to grips with him. We're talking about seasoned professionals here, lads, who've played hundreds of senior matches, and they were genuinely worried. Anthony O'Connor, their defender, spent the entire match shouting instructions to his teammates about where Neve was. "Watch him, he's drifting, pick him up." You could hear the concern in their voices. That tells you everything you need to know about his impact. Neve was everywhere, picking up pockets of space all over the pitch, dropping deep to collect the ball, drifting wide to create angles, popping up between the lines to receive passes. His movement was absolutely exceptional. This isn't just a goal scorer we're talking about here, this is a complete forward. And get this, there was one particular moment in the second half that had even the home crowd groaning in appreciation. Neve switched the play with this absolutely gorgeous pass to Alfie Harrison. Perfect weight, perfect timing. The Harrogate fans couldn't help themselves. They had to acknowledge the quality. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he was perfect. He's 18 years old, for crying out loud. There were moments in the final third where his decision-making could have been sharper. A couple of openings where he maybe should have done better. But that's exactly what you expect from someone his age. The raw talent is undeniable. The refinement comes with experience. What impressed me most, though, is mentality. The conditions were absolutely dreadful. Tipping it down with rain all night, the pitch was heavy, Newcastle were already out of the competition. Everything about that environment said, just get through this and go home. But Neve, he was still trying things, still being positive on the ball, still looking to make something happen. That's character, that is. That's the kind of mentality that separates good players from great ones. Now, here is where it gets really interesting and why this match against Harrogate might actually be more important for Neve's development than all those games where he's been banging in goals at youth level. Sean Neve has 9 goals in 17 games across all youth competitions this season. Brilliant record, absolutely brilliant. But scoring against other teenagers is one thing. Handling yourself against hardened lower league professionals who know every trick in the book, that's a completely different test. Harrogate did what experienced lower league sides always do to talented youngsters. They roughed him up a bit. Not dirty, mind you, but physical. They used their experience, their know-how, their strength. They made it difficult for him. They made him earn every touch of the ball. And you know what? Neve passed the test. He didn't hide, he didn't go missing, he kept showing for the ball, kept trying to influence the game, kept being a threat. That's what Eddie Howe needs to see. Because if Neve can't handle a wet Tuesday night in Harrogate against League Two opposition, how's he going to cope with Premier League defenders at St James's Park with 52,000 people watching?
This match was about learning, about experiencing what senior football actually feels like, about understanding that quality alone isn't enough. You need resilience, you need mental strength, you need the ability to impact games even when things aren't going your way. And from everything we saw, Neve learnt those lessons brilliantly. The big January decision. Right, so here's where things get fascinating for Newcastle as a club. We're approaching January, and there's a massive decision to be made about Sean Neve's immediate future. Option 1, keep him at Newcastle. Let him train with the first team regularly, maybe give him some minutes here and there. Let Eddie Howe work with him day in, day out. The manager's already made it clear he admires the lad, so there's definitely value in having him around Benton and exposing him to that Premier League environment. Option 2, send him out on loan. Let him go somewhere in League 1 or League 2 where he can play proper senior football every week. Get that invaluable experience of competing when points actually matter, when crowds are hostile, when the pressure is real. Both options have serious merit, and honestly, this is a nice problem to have. This is what good academies should be producing. Players so talented that you're genuinely torn about what to do with them. My personal take, I think he needs the loan. I know that might be controversial, but hear me out. We've seen with other youngsters that training with the first team is brilliant for development, but nothing replaces actually playing matches. Nothing replaces that experience of starting 20, 30, 40 senior games in a season, learning what it takes to perform week in after week after week. Look at someone like Elliot Anderson before his move to Nottingham Forest. His loan spells were absolutely crucial to his development. Or even further back, look at how loans helped develop players like Andy Carroll and others who came through our academy. But here's the thing. Whatever Newcastle decide, they need to be certain it's right for Sean Neve specifically. Not what's convenient for the club, not what fills a squad space, what's genuinely best for this 18-year-old's long-term development. How does this compare to other top academies? You know what's brilliant about this situation? It shows our academy is genuinely producing talent again. For years, mate, years we watched other clubs bring through youngster after youngster while our academy seemed to stagnate. Manchester United had Rashford, Greenwood, McTominay. Chelsea had Mount, James, Hudson-Odoi. Arsenal had Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli through their system. And what did we have? Potential that never quite materialised. Youngsters who looked promising but never kicked on. It was genuinely frustrating. But now we've got Sean Neve making League Two defenders worry. We've got Lewis Miley breaking into the first team last season. We've got a pipeline of talent that actually looks exciting for the first time in ages. This isn't just about one player either. It's about the entire culture at the academy changing. It's about Newcastle taking youth development seriously again. It's about giving these lads genuine pathways to the first team rather than just buying endless expensive players from abroad. Don't get me wrong, I love a big money signing as much as anyone, but there's something special about a local lad or a homegrown talent making it at Newcastle. The connection with the fans is different. The understanding of what the club means is different. The desire to succeed is different. Sean Neve represents hope, doesn't he? Hope that our academy can compete with the big boys again. Hope that we can develop our own stars rather than always shopping elsewhere. Hope that the next generation of Newcastle legends might already be on our books. So what happens next? Where does this leave us? What are the real consequences of Sean Neve's continued development? Well, first off, if he keeps progressing at this rate, Newcastle might have genuine competition for places up front. And that's exactly what you want. That's how you keep senior players sharp and motivated. Alexander Isak and Callum Wilson know they're not untouchable if brilliant young forwards are knocking on the door. Secondly, it impacts our transfer strategy, doesn't it? If Eddie Howe genuinely believes Niamh can contribute this season or next, does that change how aggressively we pursue other forward options? Do we save that money for other positions? Do we trust in the academy more? And thirdly, this sends a message to every other youngster at Newcastle. The pathway is real. Work hard, develop your game, show the right mentality, and you will get opportunities. That's absolutely massive for academy morale and recruitment. But here's what I really think happens next. January comes and Newcastle make a decision about his immediate future. Whether it's a loan or staying put, Niamh will continue development. By this time next year, I reckon we're having very different conversations about him. Not will he make it, but when does he become a regular first team option? That's how quickly things can change in football, especially for talented youngsters who have the right mentality. Why this matters to every Newcastle fan. Look, I'm going to be honest with you all. Watching Sean Niamh battle away on a miserable night in Harrogate in a match that technically meant nothing, refusing to give up, refusing to hide, constantly trying to make things happen, that gave me goosebumps. Because that's what Newcastle United is supposed to be about. That's the spirit that built this club. That's the mentality that made us one of the most respected names in English football. We're not just a club that throws money at problems. We're a club that develops fighters. We're a club that creates legends. We're a club where young lads are given chances to dream. Sean Niamh is 18 years old, but he's already shown he's got what it takes. Not just the talent, the character, the determination, the refusal to be intimidated. And do you know what's the most exciting part is? He's only going to get better. This is just the beginning of his journey. Whether he stays at Newcastle or goes on loan, whether he breaks through this season or next, one thing is absolutely certain. We haven't heard the last of Sean Niamh. Eddie Howe can't ignore him. The coaching staff can't ignore him. And after performances like Harrogate, opposition teams definitely can't ignore him. The future is bright and black and white, and it might just have Sean Niamh written all over it. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This is exactly why I love covering Newcastle, because we're not just talking about results and league tables, we're talking about the future of our club. We're talking about youngsters who might become legends. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more content like this, more academy news, more first team analysis, more passion for the black and white, then do me a massive favour and hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you never miss when we upload, and leave a comment below telling me what you think. Should Niamh stay or should he go on loan? Thank you for being part of Newcastle Mania. Thank you for caring about this club as much as I do. And remember, we're not just supporters, we're a family. How are the lads? See you in the next one.